The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hello and welcome to the Happiness Jungle TV show. I'm your host today, CamiBaker.com, and we are super duper excited to have a very interesting guest on today. This is someone that I met via social media, and we were having a chat about a month ago, and when she shared with me her expertise, I said, oh my dear Lord, please, please, please come on the Happiness Jungle and show us how you read trees. So, Janet Crain is a retired dentist, so she comes from academia and very, very successful career as a dentist, and somehow or another has found a way to be able to read a tree when you draw it. So we're going to learn a little bit more today from Janet, how she does that. Janet, come on and tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Hi. Well, I have retired from dentistry right now, and what I learned as a TMJ specialist is that there is an emotional component to all healing. And when you address that emotional component, it is amazing how much healing can take place. And I think it all begins in the subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind only communicates with you through pictures, images, metaphors, and that's where this all began. And actually, my life fell apart a few years ago. And in order for me to rebuild it, my husband left me, I lost my job, I had to buy a new house. Everything was going wrong for me in 1 week. I mean, it took more than that, but basically 1 week. And basically what I did is I began to write a shopping list for all the things I needed in life. A new house, a new husband, a new car, a new job. And I used that metaphor to communicate and gain a picture of what my life looked like. A few years later, when my life was doing amazing, all of a sudden I was diagnosed with very severe cancer. This time my shopping list had to be different. I needed to shop for emotional needs as well. I had become a hypnotist during chemotherapy for my cancer, and I learned through hypnotherapy just how important your subconscious influence is in your life. Then when I was introduced to tree reading, I was like, oh my goodness, it pulled it all together.
So were you actually, this is actually a thing? Like it's not something that somebody drew a tree one day and you're like, oh my God, I can read that. It was actually something that you learned how to do.
That's correct. Now this is the thing. I did not invent anything. The only thing that I did do was I made it into an 8-step program so it is repeatable. So I learned how to read trees from a variety of different people, and many of them said to me, you need to use your intuition. Now, I come from academia. I didn't know how to use my intuition. I needed facts. I needed real things. So I started doing the research, and one thing about me is once I want to find something, I just keep on going. And I found all this information, and I made it into an 8-step process. I actually made it into an app so that people would know that the 613 things that I look for in the tree are there. And psychologists, psychiatrists, they all send me trees. And the one thing I know for sure, since I don't see the people, is when in doubt, leave it out. Don't guess what you're seeing. And I think that's really important, that what I'm going to tell these people that I have their trees, thank you for this variety of trees, is things about their subconscious mind. Now, what does it matter? What does this self-awareness give you? And I think this is the key. You're a business coach. You help people. What I think the place to start is with your self-talk. And the one thing I know is that you have a conversational habit. You develop patterns that you always go to. And if you let your thinking go along one line, you kind of become a victim of the circumstances. If you go along the other path, you become victorious. So what I do is when you look at your conversational habits, I call it finding JRC. It originally started as my initials, Janet Robin Crain, and I turned it into the idea of looking at your self-talk and saying to yourself, is this self-talk giving me joy? Is it making me more resilient? Is it giving me connection? Because those are the three fundamental pillars of confidence. Now, if you go along the other road, you end up in judgment, you end up in regret, and you end up constricting your thinking. So now I think we should look at the tree and see what insights we can get from the subconscious so that you can pick the path of joy, resilience, and connection. What do you think?
Very cool. And when you and I first met and we did my tree, when we were on a Zoom conversation, and you had me, so you said draw a rectangle and then draw a tree in the rectangle. And then when you read the tree, I'm pretty easy to read. Like, I'm pretty dynamic and bold and in your face and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, well, yeah, she's reading me, but, you know, I'm right here. So I think it will be fascinating to have you read these trees of people. You don't know if they're male or female, young or old, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I have to ask you this question. One of the people on here, when I said draw the rectangle and then draw the tree, this person drew the tree without the rectangle and then went back and put the rectangle around the tree. What does that mean?
It means that they think the rules are for other people, not for them.
Well, and this person said, well, the instructions didn't say what order, and it was something I had actually sent a text, text this particular person, and I said, well, if you go back and look at the text, it actually said draw a rectangle, then draw a tree. So I thought that was pretty funny. It was kind of a rebellious thing or something.
I think it is. I think it is a rebellious thing, but I think it's okay. There's no good tree, there's no bad tree, there's no right tree, there's no wrong tree. The bottom line is that when you gain this subconscious information, you use it to your benefit. Just knowing doesn't make a difference, but knowing and then applying it to my little self-doubt confidence scale makes a difference in coaching. So let's begin. I'm going to begin with tree 1, and I'm going to try not to ruffle any papers. Is there any way that you can show tree 1?
Actually, if you hold it up to your camera, the people will be able to see it better than mine. So just show it a little bit. Yep, you can back up there. There you go. Perfect. Okay, that's tree number 1. And once Janet reads the tree, then I'll tell you guys whose tree it was. Go ahead.
So, this person sometimes is very, very stubborn. My way or the highway. A very creative thinker and very sensitive. They have a very sensitive nature. And because of that sensitive nature, they become a little bit defensive at times. So in their conversational habits, it's really important that they find joy in being organized, in thinking through things. They find resilience in believing in what they believe in really, really strongly. And they're really, really sensitive, so that's like a really great thing. When you put those 3 things together, they will have a good conversational habit and stay on the right path. If they get caught up in judgment and self-judgment, they will become very, very defensive, and they will close themselves in and not allow other people to help them. So that's what they have to think about, is when they feel, and they might not even feel defensive, but when they get sensitive or they feel vulnerable, blocking everybody all off and just, I got it my way, I'm doing it my way. And that's the key here for that person.
I almost feel like that reading could be for any one of these people who drew the tree. It seems like the people that are around me are defiant and rebellious and go-getters and all that kind of stuff. So what is it that you see in the tree? Can you walk me through, like, what is it about that tree that you see that?
Okay, I'm going to try to fold it so you can see it better, so I can hold it up while you see it.
Perfect.
Do you see, so the amount of bark that this person put on this tree shows me how sensitive they are.
Huh.
They're very, very sensitive, but they're sensitive to the point of becoming a little bit defensive. And I think that's something that you have to be careful about. When you look at the top of the tree, I don't know if you could see it. I'm trying to balance
it's perfect.
this.
Yeah.
There are like individual leaves drawn. So that means they like everything to be productive. And the way they drew those lines and they cut off, I'm going to put my finger right here, they cut off the space between their emotions and their thinking. That means that they get very, very stubborn at times. And when they like dig into their own thinking, they're like, I know best, and they don't let people help them.
Huh. Well, Miss Leanne Shapiro, that would be your tree. And I think that there's a lot of truth in a lot of that. Leanne's one of my very dear friends. Love, love, love her. And she can be stubborn. She can certainly it's her way or the highway sometimes. And as a businesswoman, sometimes that's important. You got to be able to make decisions and get things done. So let's go on to tree number 2. This will be very interesting.
Okay, I'm going to show you tree number 2.
Yep. Back up
Can
yeah, we see it perfect. The way you're doing it is beautiful. Thank you. That's perfect.
Okay, so this person is a huge people pleaser, very big people pleaser, but unfortunately they're always worried, and worried is filtering all of their thinking. So it's very important that this person likes to worry. So we don't want to take that away because it's working in some ways for them to just worry, but I think it's important to limit the worry, maybe 10 minutes a day. Say, you know what, that's your worry time. The rest of the time when those worries, thoughts about who you're pleasing, who you're not pleasing come about, say, you know what, my time is between 10 and 10:15. And then worry during that time. Just pick the time. Don't deny yourself the idea to worry. If you want to worry, after I had cancer, and let's say my toe hurt me, I would think, oh my God, I have cancer of the toe. And I would just go off, and I would waste my moment right now in worry about cancer of the toe. So I finally had to stop myself. I would physically just hit my hands together, stop, and say, you know what, I'll worry about that between 10 and 10:15 tomorrow. And then during that time, I use that time to worry, and that would work for this person also. This person is also sensitive. I just want to show you the picture. Let's try to do this. I tried to make a lighter copy. Can you see that picture?
Perfect.
So whenever there's bark over the tree, it shows that the person is very sensitive. This person has a huge imagination. And worry is what motivates them. So I think if we go back to their habitual conversations, it's important for them to stay on the path where they say, I'm creative, I'm a sensitive person, I'm going to limit my worry right now, but I'm going to think of alternative solutions. And I'm going to allow my sensitivity to carry me through. Because she's a big personality, extroverted personality, big personality, making sure that she doesn't ruin who she is, just making sure that she sets some boundaries so that she can choose her giving. Does that make sense?
Now, you said she. How do you know if it's a she or
Oh,
a
I
he?
don't. It could be a he. I just work. It could be a he. It could be a trans, anything. I don't know that information.
So is there any way of reading in the tree what's the best career path or anything like that?
In some trees, yes, you can help people. But also in this tree, this person is a very big worrier. So if you put her in a position, and she's a people pleaser. So I'm going to give you an example. 28 people used to work for me, and one day I walked into work, and I'm a people pleaser, and one person on my staff said to me, oh, Dr. Crain, my back hurts. I need a new chair. I didn't really think about it, so I said, okay. 2 minutes later, my office manager walked in and said, "How did you agree to a new chair? 12 people want new chairs." Because I didn't really think it through. I just went people pleasing. So in order for this person to have a job where they're trying to please a lot of people and still make their budget, they have to pull back and set better boundaries. So yes, in that way, it can tell you. And if they also work for a boss that's always criticizing them, they wouldn't be their best selves. So yes, in a way, it does help you. But most importantly, it helps the person with their self-talk. And nothing, in my opinion, is as important as your self-talk.
So what does the smiley face on the tree and the fact that the tree is outside of the rectangle, does that mean anything?
The outside of the rectangle is the people pleaser. There's no boundaries of what this person will do for you. No boundaries. And that happy face is, in some ways, they're very self-reflective. And in other ways, they just have a vivid imagination.
Well, this tree is my daughter, Haley, who is 19. She'll be 20 in February. And I think that the people-pleasing part is kind of good for her at the moment, because she's the one that makes sure that if anybody's drinking, that they get home safe. Like she's become the mama of the group and takes care of people.
You know what? Yes, but the problem is she needs to always choose to do that. Like, she'll go into automatic yes. Can you do that? Yes. Can you do that? Yes. Can you do that? Yes. Without necessarily choosing what's best for her.
Well, she doesn't do that with me. Isn't that interesting how our children are so different with us than other people?
Well, that's true. That's exactly true.
So that's interesting. Okay, so tree number 3, I don't have a copy of, but I know you do, and I know whose it is. Yes.
Can you see tree number 3?
Yep. I can.
Okay, so this is a very, very interesting tree for me. This person really, really likes freedom. They love beautiful things around them. They're a very, very good multitasker. But they have to be very careful. People that multitask can keep every part of their life separate. So their home life is different than their work life, that's different than their friend life. They keep different parts of themselves separate. But when you see a vine like this, can you see the vine on the tree?
Yes.
It can show you how hard they're trying to control their emotions. They're trying to organize themselves and control their emotions so that they can manage to keep so many things separate. This person has had a lot of life-changing events, a lot of, in different aspects of their lives, a lot of emotional things happen to them. So it's good that they do that, but they can't let it restrict their life. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. And you said that there's 8 parts to how, so do you actually teach people how to read trees?
Yes, I've been teaching tree reading, but when people come to see me to do tree reading, I do tree reading in different forms. I do it in big groups for HR departments, I do it at parties, and I do it for individuals. I'm also a hypnotist, and I do believe that once I see what's subconscious, I can give you the right suggestion to make some changes in your life. Now, the 8 steps are: 1, you draw the tree in the box. And the reason I use the box is I evaluate the size, the shape, and the location of the tree compared to the box. So 1, you draw the tree in the box. 2, I identify the location. 3, the type of tree. So there's palm trees, pine trees, fantasy trees, all different kinds of trees. The next is the treetop, then the trunk, then the roots, and then the additional items. Those are my 8 steps that I look for in all the trees. And then I'm consistent. When I don't know what it is, I'm clear that I don't know what it is, because so many times I don't see the person.
So this tree is the one that was drawn before the box was put around it.
I got it. I knew that.
This is a friend of mine. It's a man, Rod, and very artistic, plays the guitar, very visual. So when you said he likes beautiful things around him, he's got that visual component. So yeah.
And he's got that stubborn my way or the highway in so many areas of his life.
You know, it seems to me like a lot of people do. A lot of these statements seem kind of general to a lot of people that I know, but not for everyone. I know that too.
Nope, not for everyone. But I think that in a relationship, it would be really very important in the relationship with this person that it would be hard to emotionally reach this person because they keep every part of their life separate. So there would be that disconnect.
Makes a lot of sense. So, tree number 4.
I'm trying not to make too much noise here.
You're doing a great job. It's fascinating what you're doing, and I want to make sure at the end we talk a lot about how people can contact you. So, tree number 4, that's exactly the one. Go.
Okay, so I just want to show you this tree because I think this tree has a few things. Do you see that knot hole?
Yes.
That's really, not only did they draw the knot hole, but they circled it a few times to make sure that I didn't miss the knot hole.
Right?
That knot hole tells me that this person had a life-changing event. And if I would measure it and knew their age, I would be able to tell you what year that happened. This life-changing event. Now, they did not want me to miss this. But what I want to say to this person is, it could be good, it could be bad, but it had a big impact on this person. And they have definitely dealt with it, but the impact of it remains because the knot hole remains in this tree. They're very precise and ordered. The way they drew all these leaves individually, they're very precise and ordered. And they're very careful the way they're interacting with the outside world. This is the person that is a complete opposite personality to me because they think ahead, they're careful, they think of their words before they say them. They're very planned out. They like to have things in order. So if we go back to my confidence versus self-doubt, when they get into their justification, their excuse mode, they feel regrets or they get constricted, they have to go back to being flexible, friendly, and open. That's their road to confidence. My new workbook, so let's just go back a little bit. My original book, If You Want an Egg Roll, Get Out of the Pizzeria, was written as a metaphor using shopping skills when my life fell apart when I was in my 30s. Now what I'm working on in this workbook is how to buy confidence. How to buy a confident outlook versus a self-doubt outlook. And it all begins in your thought processing. And how to use the same shopping skills when it's an emotional thing that you're looking for.
So tell us a little bit more about this tree, and then I'll tell you whose tree this is. And then I want to hear how we can contact you, how people can hire you, where they can get the book, how you can teach them, all that fun stuff.
Okay, so let's go back to this many branch tree.
Yep.
And as you can see, there's branches going in all directions. But one area of this person's life right here, can you see that part?
Yes.
Goes outside of the box.
Yep.
So whenever something goes outside of the box, it means it's a little overextended. So one area, it could be their job, it could be a person, it could be a relationship. One area of your life is a little extended of people pleasing, trying to please someone that's not really going so well because it's outside of the box and there's no leaves on it. The knot hole, I'm going to go back to the knot hole if you could see it.
Yep.
If this person is right-handed, it had to do with a female in the past. And what we're going to talk about now is the most important thing of self-forgiveness. This person forgives other people, but their self-talk is not nice to them. What they really need to make sure of is that when they're talking to themselves, that they say, I can't be mad at myself for not knowing what I didn't learn yet. Now I learned it, and I'm moving on. Because those habitual patterns of self-talk is what stops you in your track. You end up becoming a victim of your own story rather than victorious in your own story. And you have the choice. And tree reading gives you that ability to know what it is so you could identify it. Because so many times nowadays they talk about self-help, self-care, self-this. But the key is that unless you start with your self-talk and manage these negative, I don't want to say negative, it's just that it's not nurturing you.
Right.
You have to start nurturing yourself with your self-talk.
So this tree was none other than Lyn-Dee Eldridge, the Chief Happiness Officer of the Happiness Jungle TV show, and we saved the best for last. And we've got about 2 minutes, Janet, and this is all for you, my friend. Let's talk about how people can contact you. What can we do to learn how to read trees? What can we do to have you come read them for us?
Okay, so my new workbook is about to come out, and the best way to contact me is on Facebook. Go to my page, Janet Crain, and like me and become part of my community. Every day at 8:35, I have a cup of coffee, and I talk Monday through Friday. You could also find me on YouTube. And I try to have my coffee and be inspirational because I feel like if I'm going to live the Finding JRC and make connection, I want to make connection every morning. And I basically do that. I also think that I try to talk about resiliency and joy because if you watch the news, sometimes it's very scary. And I want to try to every single day when I smell, that's like my favorite time of day when I taste my coffee. So I try to share it with other people. So I go online and I do coffee time with Janet and I just talk about things that start your day off right.
Coffee time with Janet. We've got about 40 seconds left.
So if you like me on Facebook, and then my new book is Buying Confidence on a Self-Doubt Budget. I'll let you know when it's out. And the other thing is that what I really want to get across is that you have choice. You can choose your self-talk every day, every minute, and you have to stay on it.
That is so true. Thank you for those words of wisdom because, you know, we create who we are by the words that we say and the energy that we put out. So, Janet Crain, very interesting lady, and I really highly suggest that you contact her on Facebook. We've just had a pleasure having you on, Janet. You've made this show one of the most interesting ones yet. And, you know, it's the Happiness Jungle. Go out and be happy. Bye.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.